Welcome to Studio D on the campus of the University of Oklahoma. This is Sooner Sports Pad, brought to you by OU Health. And now, here's your host, Abbi Bennett.
Welcome to Sooner Sports Pad. I'm your host, Abbi Bennett. Standing next to me are analysts Alyse and Audrey Goodson. Y'all, how are we feeling after that game over the weekend?
So excited. It was such a great game.
Pretty hard not to feel good after a win like that. Well, you know what they say, the river runs red, and the Sooners proved exactly that after the Cotton Bowl on Saturday. Texas for sure thought they had this one, but a dude named Caleb had a different idea. Within the first 2 minutes of the game, Casey Thompson launched a screen pass to wide receiver Xavier Worthy for a Longhorn 75-yard touchdown. The Sooners then got absolutely nowhere in their first drive of the game, which resulted in a punt. Michael Turk's kick was blocked and wound up at the 2-yard line for Texas, and the Burnt Orange would score and be up by 14 right from the start. Texas really thought they were back, but Caleb Williams stepped in later in the game and said, nope, not today. In the fourth quarter, Williams completed a rocket pass to Marvin Mims for an insane 52-yard touchdown, putting the Sooners back on the saddle. Rattler jumped back in and tied up the game, giving the ball to Stoops for a 2-point conversion, and with 10 seconds left, a direct snap to Kennedy Brooks sent him straight into the end zone, winning the game for the Sooners 55-48. Now, might I also add that that was the largest comeback in series history. Now, I might have some guesses for who y'all are about to choose for this question, but Alyse, I want to know what Sooners stood out to you on Saturday.
Well, in the first 5 games of the season, there was a pretty even split between running backs in terms of carries and touches, but on Saturday, it was a different story. Now, Eric Gray did have some good carries, but there was one player who dominated in the backfield, and that is Kennedy Brooks. Brooks had 217 yards, which is the first time a Sooner has run for at least 200 yards since Trey Sermon ran for 206 against Texas Tech back in 2018. Now, Brooks had big runs of 15, 17, 65, 18, and 33 yards to help the Sooners make, like you said, the biggest comeback in the rivalry's history. Brooks had the 4th highest rushing total for an Oklahoma player in the history of the series, and his 33-yard run at the end, with just 10 seconds left in the game, sealed the Sooners' victory and brought that golden hat back to Norman. And let me just say, Kennedy Brooks shined so much on Saturday. He even outran Texas's Heisman candidate Bijan Robinson, who by no means had a bad game. Kennedy Brooks now has 535 yards this year and is on track for his 3rd straight 1,000-yard season.
Alyse, those are some pretty crazy stats. But I think it's pretty safe to say that a Sooner legend was born this Saturday, and that is freshman quarterback Caleb Williams, ladies and gentlemen. Now, I've seen some pretty crazy games be won by OU in true Sooner Magic fashion, but I've never seen anything like this. Williams was a true leader, rallying the Sooners back from being down 35-17 in the second quarter. But let's just check out his stats. 212 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, and he rushed for another 88 yards and a score. For a true freshman who didn't even get to play his senior year of high school because of COVID, that was pretty impressive. Literally the most incredible thing I've ever seen. He was just so poised from the start, a true leader. And you know, when Texas fans were chanting, "We want Caleb," as a joke to mock the OU student section, I think they got exactly what they asked for. The biggest comeback in rivalry history, true Sooner magic.
That is right, and those Sooners definitely stood out to me as well, but there also were some plays that caught my eye. Let's send it over to Katie Arata for her top 3 plays.
The Sooners stunned the Longhorns in the Red River Showdown on Saturday. Here are my top 3 plays of the game. Coming in at number 3, we have Marvin Mims' insane touchdown. Caleb Williams launches the ball 52 yards right into the hands of Mims, whose foot barely stays in bounds. Next, I have Williams' incredible 66-yard touchdown run. He entered the game for the Sooners on 4th and 1, and boy, he did not disappoint, dodging the Longhorns and finding the end zone. And my number 1 play of the game has to go to Kennedy Brooks for his game-winning touchdown. With just seconds to spare, Brooks took a direct snap and ran for 33 yards, lifting the Sooners over the Longhorns for the dub. Now, if that isn't some Sooner magic, then I don't know what is. I'm Katie Arata with Sooner Sports Pad.
Magic for sure. Now, overall, that was the best game I had ever witnessed. But let's hear what Coach Riley and wide receiver Marvin Mims had to say about the comeback win.
Oh, man. Epic. I mean, epic. I mean, that second half run, the energy in that stadium, it's one of the best things in our sport, man. Our crowd, our crowd was great, man. I appreciate our crowd. They stayed into it even as we started to make the run. I think we really kind of both fed off each other, us off the crowd off of us, and that's why it's the best rivalry in college football. It's the best setting. I mean, it was awesome, man. I mean, it was as good as I've ever seen.
You know, second half, I mean, in my mind, it's just crazy. It just happened, you know what I mean? It's everywhere. Huge experience for me, but, I mean, the crowd was into it. You know, the offense was rolling, defense was getting stops. I mean, we were doing whatever we wanted to out there, and that was a huge thing to this game. Helped us turn it around, but huge thank you to the fans. You know, they kept it loud even though it's half of them in that stadium. I mean, Texas was quiet most of the time until they scored that last touchdown, but at the end of the day, dude, we were already up on them at that point, so.
When we come back, one of Sooner Sports Pad's reporters is going to break down the Red River game. Stick around. OU and Texas put on a show on Saturday. Saul Mayer tells us how OU survived in what could very well be the game of the year. Let's check it out.
Williams in the shotgun, Stoops in motion. Direct snap, Brooks fakes the pitch, bounces it outside. He's to the 30, he's to the 25, he's to the 20, he's going to go! Kennedy Brooks, he just won! He just won the game! Kennedy Brooks just won OU Texas!
This might be the greatest Red River game of all time. The Texas Longhorns came out of the gate swinging as Casey Thompson hits Xavier Worthy for a screen pass that results in a 75-yard touchdown on the very first play of the game. Following a blocked punt by Texas linebacker DeMarvion Overshone, the Longhorns jump up to a quick 14-0 lead 2 minutes into the game. Rattler struggled early with 2 turnovers, including this fumble right here that resulted in him being benched for the second time at the Red River game.
The big thing to me, though, was the turnovers. I mean, we made just a mental error on the first one, and then obviously the fumble. And I mean, just knowing this game, you can't turn the ball over and win this game. I mean, it's very, very difficult to do.
Replacing Rattler was freshman quarterback Caleb Williams, who already had a 66-yard touchdown run earlier in the game.
I thought we got a little bit of a rhythm when Caleb came in. He did some good things, and so, we were scoring, we were moving it, so I stayed with it.
A 38-yard field goal gave the Longhorns an 18-point lead at the half, but there was too much time left to call it a wrap for the Sooners.
Toward the end zone, touchdown! Marvin Mims, it's a touchdown! Williams shotgun snap, straight drop, 4-man rush. They pick it up, looking deep, steps up in the pocket, gonna wing it for the end zone for Mims. He comes back for it. He caught it! He caught it! Isn't it in? No signal yet. Touchdown!
After the big play by Williams, Rattler still got his Red River moment, converting the 2-point conversion to Drake Stoops to tie it up.
I really was expecting to put him back in. Didn't know it would come on maybe the single most important play of the game. But he handled it like a pro.
And with the help of a little Sooner magic and a Caleb Kelly strip on the ensuing kickoff, and this Kennedy Brooks direct snap 18-yard touchdown run, the Sooners took the lead. But the Longhorns would not go away easy as Casey Thompson hits Xavier Worthy for another big touchdown to tie it up. All Brooks needed to do was line up the game-winning kick for Gabe Burkich, but he had other plans for how this game was going to end.
Kennedy Brooks, he just won! He just won the game! Kennedy Brooks just won OU Texas!
The O-line did a great job, man. They blocked it up. I saw opening to the outside. The receivers did a hell of a job blocking downfield. So, man, I just ran straight into the score, man. It was an amazing feeling to be able to win the game, man. When I did it for the team, man, it was a great feeling.
People were wondering how OU and Texas were going to top their instant classic in 2020 that went to 4 overtimes. Well, all it took was the largest comeback in Red River history. We'll have to wait and see if next year if they can top this performance. Saul Meyer, Sooner Sports Pad.
Now stay right where we are because you know what's coming. These two are going to face off when we return. it is time for face-off. Now, that was a huge win for the Sooners, and if they can continue to show out and keep this winning streak, they have a very good shot at a big bowl game. Now, if that's the case, Alyse, who do you see OU's final game of the season being in against who?
Well, I hope their final game of the season is a national championship game. But as of right now, Oklahoma is on track to win their 7th straight Big 12 championship if they remain undefeated, which I think they will. And I think they're going to find themselves in a very familiar position, the college football playoff. But I think that with the way things are going, if they remain undefeated and as a conference champion, I think they're going to be that 3 seed next to another potential undefeated conference champion, the Cincinnati Bearcats. Now, the Cincinnati Bearcats went undefeated last season, yet were snubbed by the College Football Playoff Committee. I don't see that happening 2 years in a row, especially after their victory over Notre Dame and showing their dominance all season long for the past 2 seasons. Their head coach, Luke Fickell, knows it's not a walk in the park for a group of 5 team to be seen on college football's biggest stage, but the Bearcats have continued to prove themselves. I think Oklahoma, if they continue to play like this, they go undefeated, win the Big 12, they're not going to go in as that 4 seed. They're going to get that 3rd seed position, and Cincinnati is going to go right there with them, and they'll get the recognition that they finally deserve.
So I think this has easily been the craziest college football season that I have ever seen. And at this rate, I don't know what's going to happen between now and the time that the playoff selection committee does make those kind of decisions. But I think that if it were to happen today, we would see OU facing off with Georgia in the Orange Bowl as a 4 seed. So it's no secret, Georgia has the best defense in the entire country. If we think back to LSU's offense in 2019, just how dominant they were, think of that in defensive form, and that is the Georgia defense. Just incredible this year. I think if they're going to beat Bama in the SEC championship, this is the year they're going to do it. So if Georgia ends up being that 1 seed, they're going to get to play in the Orange Bowl, giving them that home field advantage. And, you know, I don't think the Sooners are going to be lucky enough to have that semifinal at the Cotton Bowl, unfortunately. But, you know, I had a great time in Dallas this weekend. But honestly, I wouldn't mind having a little beach vacation in Miami in December. I mean, some warm weather.
So if you have Georgia at the 1 and Oklahoma at the 4, who are you putting in that 2 and 3?
So I have Georgia at 1. I think their defense is just so dominant. I don't think they can be stopped. So at the 2 spot, I have Iowa. I think they're going to win out in the Big Ten. Then at the 3, I have your Cincinnati Bearcats. And then in the 4th seed, I have the Sooners.
Okay. Well, I don't think Iowa can win the Big Ten. I think between Michigan, Michigan State, Ohio State, they're due for a loss somewhere in there. So I don't know that we'll see them, but we'll just have to see how it plays out.
We'll have to see.
All right, well, Spencer Rattler was considered a Heisman winner frontrunner at the very beginning of the season, but he was benched over the weekend. Do y'all see him still being a Heisman winner frontrunner, or do you have someone else in mind?
I have someone else in mind for this season. I know that Alabama just had a major upset loss to A&M, but that doesn't mean that Bryce Young had a bad game. He still had 369 passing yards and 3 touchdowns, and he's still the Heisman favorite. Now, Young is electric, accurate, he's smart in the pocket. He's playing with one of the best offenses in the country. He has 1,734 yards this season and 20 touchdowns through 6 games. He's sitting in a pretty good position in comparison to the other Heisman quarterbacks of the past in terms of touchdowns. Now, his pass yards are a little lower, but if Alabama comes back out and plays like we know they can, he's about to add a lot more yards to his name. And they shouldn't struggle through the rest of their schedule. They have Mississippi State, Tennessee, LSU, New Mexico State, Arkansas, and Auburn for their last 6. With that lineup of games, their only ranked opponent would be Arkansas, and I just think that the offense in general, including Bryce Young, is going to be able to rack up a ton of points and a lot more stats for that Heisman victory.
Well, like I said, this has been the craziest college football season I've ever seen, and I don't think that this Heisman race is any different. But someone I do have my eye on is Desmond Ridder, who's the quarterback of the Cincinnati Bearcats. So he started out 30-4, His stats are similar to Alyse's guy, Bryce Young, and Matt Corral at Ole Miss. He's thrown for over 1,300 yards this season, 12 TDs, and has just 2 picks all year. Not to mention, it was not an easy feat going into South Bend and beating Notre Dame, winning what was Cincinnati's very first top 10 regular season matchup in the program's entire history. In that game itself, Ritter threw for nearly 300 yards. He is the real deal, and I think his name deserves to be in that conversation for what he has done at a Group of 5 school. But what I'd like to ask you, Alyse, is, so you're a big fan of the Cincinnati Bearcats, so why didn't you pick Desmond Ritter as your Heisman candidate?
Well, great question. While I do think that Cincinnati can go undefeated, be the conference champion, and possibly make that playoff position like I'm hoping, I do think at the same time Alabama, their lineup for the rest of the season is a walk in the park. They're going to blow out these teams, and Bryce Young's stats are just going to grow and grow and grow, and I just don't see where he's at right now, him falling out of that Heisman favorite spot.
We'll just have to see. But Abbi, I have a question for you now. So I know how you mentioned how Spencer was the Heisman favorite at the beginning of the year, literally projected to go #1 overall in the NFL draft. Do you think if he does not start on Saturday that he's still in that conversation at all?
I mean, this weekend, I for sure don't see him starting. After this weekend, the win barely against West Virginia, the Tulane game, I just kind of think that threw him off. So no, I honestly do not see him winning the Heisman. But now, my favorite part of Face Off, give me y'all's viral videos.
Well, I know we said it last week, but these rivalry games, you just never know what's going to happen. We saw it this past weekend when Oklahoma came back to beat Texas. Something else we saw this past weekend at the OU-Texas game, though, was something I've just never seen before. We've seen dogs, we've seen cats, birds, even squirrels, but I've never seen a fox on the field. This fox ran across the field in the Cotton Bowl. Now, the fourth quarter might have been extremely disappointing for Oklahoma fans, but maybe this fox was their good luck charm that they needed. I have no idea how it got there, where it went, who caught it, but I just have to say, for an animal that doesn't really like to be social, doesn't like a lot of people, that fox was in the rowdiest Cotton Bowl that I've ever experienced.
Honestly, I didn't know what was on the field. I didn't know if it was a small dog, maybe a gigantic squirrel, maybe even a beaver, like what? But anyway, we know the OU fans were really excited about the win, obviously. We stormed the field. I was one of them, super exciting. But another very special former Sooner was also really excited about the win, and that's former OU head coach Bob Stoops. Just check out this video of him on Fox.
Has been missing from that Oklahoma Sooners offense. Running the
This is just a mood. I'm still kind of feeling like Big Game Bob. And just check out this tweet from his son Isaac, who happens to be Drake's twin brother. I guess it just runs in the family. Bob has been awesome on his first year on Fox. I just think he has been great.
Yeah, no, definitely. Okay, audience, now it is time to vote. If you liked Alyse's answers for Face Off plus her viral video, give it up.
Yeah.
Woo! Okay. Moving on. If you liked Audrey's answers, let's hear it. Okay, I think I'm gonna have to give that one to you, Audrey. Congrats, our face-off winner. But when we come back, I'm gonna give you all the Sooner sports to watch for coming up. Plus, we're gonna have some Sooner trivia, so stick around. The defending national champion OU softball has their season opener on Wednesday versus North Central Texas College at 6 p.m. Volleyball will face the Red Raiders on Friday at home at 6 p.m. And Sooner football will be back at the Palace this Saturday to face the Horned Frogs. Kickoff is at 6:30 p.m. All right, now it's time for some Sooner trivia, so we're going to see which one of our analysts are most knowledgeable on the Sooners. Okay, first question. What is the capacity of the Cotton Bowl?
90,000?
Close. A couple thousand off.
93,000?
A couple.
92,000.
Yes! Way to go, Alyse. Okay, next question. What is the largest victory in Red River history?
This weekend.
Do you know the score?
No, it was in, it was like 60
Or do you know the score? Not
60,
largest victory.
60 to 10?
Very close.
65-13.
Correct! Alyse is on a roll. Okay, last question.
Combined points.
How many times has OU and Texas played total?
Oh.
Any guesses? It's over 100.
It's like 112.
Close, but not quite.
117.
Yes, correct. All right, thank you so much for watching Sooner Sports Pad. We will be back here same time, same place. Good night.